Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy Ben and JB from JBM Sports Media coming at you guys with our NFL Week 13 reactions. There's a lot to talk about. Few upsets this week. I mean, there's one big upset that happened on Thanksgiving night that we're going to talk about right here. The playoff picture, we're going to go over that as well. JB, real quick before we get into all the action, what were your thoughts on this NFL Week slate?
Well, Thanksgiving was the biggest shock of it all. It started off everything, to be honest with you, leading into Sunday night. Obviously your pack is coming up with a big win. They've now swept the Detroit Lions this year. They've gone 2-0. They've wrapped that up. The Cowboys obviously beating the Kansas City Chiefs, who we've got to talk about. Obviously, I think the Chiefs are on a downward slope right now that no one really expected, even with the way Mahomes has been playing. It's not looking good over there in KC, especially offensively. And obviously the return of Joe Burrow and him knocking off the Ravens, and that offense looking like it's clicking. His first game back from injury. What does this mean for the defense? Does this get the defense over the hump a little bit? Do they now get, a little bit re-energized and they start playing out of their mind a little bit? Who knows? They have a tough hill to climb, but this week 13 has definitely gotten off to a very interesting start now that, with the playoffs shaping out.
Absolutely. All right, getting into it, like you had said, you mentioned the Packers, and obviously the Packers are going against the Bears next week. So I guess we'll dive into both those two games, the Packers and the Lions, and the Bears and the Eagles on Friday, which honestly was pretty mid of a game that game, but the Packers Lions was an explosive game, and I was hyped while watching it. There was back and forth action right away. Jordan Love played phenomenal. He had 4 passing touchdowns. The defense, Micah Parsons, I mean, I thank Jerry Jones for what he did this offseason quite a lot because, man, this guy has been a disruptor on defense at a consistent rate. And, I mean, you know what you were going to get with him at the end of the day. So this game proved to me that we are at the top of the top in the NFC title contenders. I believe we could come out of the NFC, be a real threat in the Super Bowl. And we did see a lot of exposure for that Lions offensive line, to be honest. And I think that's one thing to point out heading on to the rest of the year for the Lions. Obviously, they had their center, Frank Ragnow. He failed his physical, so now he's not going to be able to come back for
Yeah,
them, which
it's
sucks.
unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's just another tough pill they're going to have to swallow. I mean, what did you think about, in general, Packers and Lions, just trying to sum it up?
Well, like you had said, going back to the Lions' defensive line, it's a little banged up. Not playing the greatest because they gave up 128 yards on the ground, and if you're going to do that, that's not conducive to winning football. And to go along with what you said with Jordan Love's 4 touchdowns, that was on 18 completions. It wasn't like he was airing it out and he had to throw 45 times. He literally threw 4 touchdowns on only 18 completions. So that shows you how effective he was, and it shows you, like you said as well, piggybacking off of what you were just going by, their secondary is very weak too. And Jordan Love, he did exactly what he had to do. He took advantage of a kind of beat up defense right now, and the Packers are just showing what they really could be coming out of this NFC. And not for nothing, I think it's their division to lose at this point. I think that pedal to the metal, and I think that they could really take a stronghold of the North.
Yeah, I agree with you. Division to lose. I think we obviously have to win next week because obviously if we talk about the Bears Eagles game now, that was a game where I just feel like Philly got exposed. Their run defense was putrid. It was some of the worst I've seen all year. I know they were calling for the defensive coordinator to be fired, and we've been hearing that a lot for them. And I mean, it kind of goes into a topic because if you look at the NFC, I'll pull up the playoff picture right now. If you look up the NFC playoff picture right now, the Bears are actually leading right now, 9-3. And credit to them, huge win on Friday, huge win that now cements them as the 1 seed for the time being. With the Rams losing today, we'll talk about that just a tiny bit against the Panthers today. Now the Eagles fall to the 3rd seed, now 8-4. Obviously, you got the Cowboys in the hunt for the NFC East, so that's one thing I feel like they're going to have to keep in mind. Keep playing their level of ball because offensively they haven't even looked that good either. AJ Brown did have a monstrous game on Friday, but Saquon was not good. The run game was not there for Philly, and I think that was apparent. If we look at the rest of the standings, the Buccaneers are 7-5. Like I said, the Panthers huge win today. Who knows if that's going to last, and who knows if the Buccaneers stay because they've had some injuries that has affected them. The Seahawks are 9-3, which I think if you would sell me the pitch that the Seahawks could actually beat the Rams for the NFC West, would not hate that whatsoever, to be honest. I actually would have kind of believed that. Then we have my
Yeah.
Packers 8-3-1. Like I said, next week, big game at Lambeau against the Bears. Then we have the Niners at 9-4 beating the Browns today, which was a good win, but at the end of the day, it's the Cleveland Browns, so we can't really say that much, even though my Packers lost to the Browns, so that's funny. What do you guys or what should I say? What do you think about this, JB? Just the playoff picture in general.
I personally think that the Packers could be that number one seed as long as to go with the Rams as well. I don't put those two teams out of the realm of possibility of clinching that one seed. To me, obviously, I'm going to give Chicago their flowers. Their running game has been absolutely phenomenal between Monangai, and DeAndre Swift, and it's taken a lot of pressure off of Caleb Williams as well.
Yep.
Those two guys last week, especially, I think they had 200 yards rushing between those two guys. I know Monangai had 130. I think Swift, he did his thing as well. So when you have a rushing attack like that, a two-headed monster, it's going to do a lot. But to me, the Packers, with their experience and just how they're so consistent, and with what they have coaching-wise as well, I do feel like they could come out of the North as division winners, and overall the NFC. Like I said, they could be that number one seed. I think to me, it's the Rams and the Packers. I think they're the better offensive teams. So I do think that the Bears, they look up to them in that regard, even though they're the number one seed right now. I do think that they're not going to come out as the number one in the NFC. I do see that it's either going to be the Packers or the Rams.
I could see that. I could absolutely see that. I think the Bears are a playoff team. I think at this point, I'm looking at the way that they're playing. They have a pretty decent schedule to end off the year. I think they'll be straight. I think they'll be I think at this point I could comfortably say they're going to be a playoff lock because I think they have to face. I don't know. I think they face Detroit again. We face them twice, so maybe we split with them. Maybe they beat Detroit in Chicago because Detroit hasn't looked that convincing, to be honest. They're not even currently in the playoff picture in the NFC, so I don't know what's going on there 100%.
And,
Honestly,
and and not for nothing, I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers swept them. I mean, let's be serious. Yeah, you want to be realistic. A one-and-one split is 100% understandable, and it's probably something that's more realistic. But if we were coming off those two games and we're talking about how the Packers swept them, I would not be shocked whatsoever.
me neither. Me neither. To be quite honest, me neither. What do you think is when it comes to the Eagles though? Obviously, their struggles offensively and technically very poor run defense. What do you think is going on there?
I listen. I don't know if this is a hot take, but I was never really high on Jalen Hurts. Listen, he's a very good quarterback. I'm not going to say that he's not. I'm not going to be one of these guys that's completely ridiculous. But I just don't think he is this much of an outstanding quarterback as
Right.
everybody makes it out to be. I think he's a little bit more of a fancy game manager where he can make big plays if he had to. I just don't think he's expected to do that. And honestly, and I think that's where AJ Brown's frustrations come from, really, is his style of play. It's not really conducive to big plays downfield. It's not really conducive to, big passing plays, and that's why it's shocking to me that their run game has been completely non-existent. Saquon is a
Non-existent.
completely different player. It looks like they completely changed the offense, and it looks like he has no idea really what to expect going in. He doesn't look 100% prepared. It kind of looks like it's a crapshoot every weekend. Like,
Right.
if we have to throw the ball, we'll throw. If we run, we run. But I don't know. He's not getting as many touches. He doesn't look involved. He's not even involved in the passing attack as much. So they're just a very weird team to me, the Eagles. I feel like they can be beaten easily. And not for nothing, I don't know if this is another hot take, but the Dallas Cowboys may win that division. If the Dallas Cowboys can somehow figure out a way to keep playing the way they've been playing, and they already beat Philly, so they have the one up on them. It's tied now, so they have that
Yeah.
going for them. At least they didn't get swept. And if they can play good against the NFC and maybe take over the conference record, who knows, man? If Philly doesn't figure it out, the Cowboys could literally take this division right from under them.
Yeah, it could happen 8-4, I believe, and the Cowboys obviously they have the draw with the Packers, but they're 6-5, I think. Um, I think it'll be a little bit tough. A lot of things have to go right for the Cowboys, starting off with the Lions on Thursday, but that could go either way. To be honest, that game could go either way. It depends what type of
Yeah,
version of Detroit you got. Um, but yeah, it's a hot take for sure. But I could totally see that and understand that. To be honest, if Dallas continues their hot momentum, I could see that being a quite realistic thing that could happen, especially because I'm not sold on the way that the Eagles are playing. First and foremost, I'm really not sold on that way.
Yeah, they just don't look like a cohesive unit right now.
Nah, they really don't. Talking about another team, not necessarily cohesive, but we're gonna talk about the Chiefs real quick. Are they cooked? I mean, they're 6-6 right now. If we look at real quick, let me just take this off. If we look at the AFC picture right now, it's a little bit blurry, but we have New England leading at the 1 seed, 10-2, phenomenal. Denver's playing right now. I think they'll most likely beat Washington, to be honest. Jacksonville's now taking over the AFC South. They're playing great ball over there, 8-4. Baltimore 6-6. I mean, I'm not sold on that team. Then we got the wild cards. The Chargers 8-4 beat the Raiders today. Colts lost to the Texans 8-4. The Bills beat the Steelers 8-4. And in the hunt, we have the Texans at 7-5, the Steelers at 6-6, the Chiefs at 6-6, and the Dolphins at 5-7. And if you do want to mention the Bengals, obviously they are, I believe, 4-8. Yeah, they're 4-8. So look, first and foremost, we're talking about the Chiefs, though. Do you believe that they're cooked? Do you think this is the year they finally miss the playoffs?
Honestly, yeah, I actually think it is. I just don't know how they're going to be able to figure this out. I think even if they go 9-8, it might not be enough to get in. And I think one more loss for them, really.
Yeah, that's
if they
it.
go 6-7, it's going to be really tough as opposed to being 7-6. So if they lose this coming week and they're 6-7, I think they're actually cooked. And I really don't know. Even if they do get in, Brew, I just don't see how they fare against half of that AFC. I don't think they fare well against Buffalo. I think they'll be better offensively. I don't see how they're going to get against Denver, against New England.
I'll be honest.
I think it's an early exit for them, whether they get in or not.
If they get in, though, I ain't gonna lie. The rest of these teams, the division leaders, the wild card. I mean, the wild card not really, but New England, Denver, Jacksonville, they better hope they don't get in, because if they get in, they might get cooked. I'll be honest. First round, one of these guys, because experience matters, and
it does. You're 100% right.
Experience matters. They better hope that the Chiefs don't get in, and this is not me just saying that as like, oh, you know who Patrick Mahomes is, but realistically speaking, Andy Reid knows what it takes in the playoffs, and I think I saw the scenario. They would have to win out, and that would put them at 11-6 or 11-7, I believe. Oh no,
11-6. Yeah,
11-6. You're 100% right. So if they do win out, they most likely will make it. And if you look at their schedule, they have the Titans, they have the Raiders, they have the Chargers, they have the Broncos, and I believe they have the Texans as well. So not the easiest, but there's wins there. Obviously, I see Titans, Raiders.
I can see 3-2. 3-2 makes sense. They lose to Denver. Maybe they lose to who was the other team? Chargers.
I think they're probably going to beat Denver and Kansas City. I got to be honest. I think they split with Denver because Denver beat them in.
They may.
I'm not even sold on Denver, to be honest, and that's no disrespect to Denver, but it's like.
Well, it's their defense. Their defense has been absolutely fantastic. That's really what it is. And Bo Nix, he's game manager right now. Just don't turn the ball over. Make the plays you got to make it, and let the run game speak for itself. That's basically what he's doing over there.
I could really see, obviously, Sauce Gardner got injured today for the Colts. I could see the Colts falling out of this, to be honest. I really could. I could see the Colts falling out. I know Justin Herbert's going to have surgery on his, his hand, I think, his left hand tomorrow, but he's not going to miss time. It's his left hand. So he said he still sees himself playing next Monday. So we'll see how that goes, but I don't know. I think if there's a team I could see for sure in the hunt making it, I think it would be the Chiefs, to be honest. Out of all these teams, Miami, Houston, yeah, bro. I think the Chiefs would be realistically the most.
I could see Pittsburgh or Houston too, because look what's going on with Baltimore. If Baltimore somehow messes this up, that could mean maybe Pittsburgh slides in if they can steal a win or two in the next coming weeks. And then maybe Houston wins another game. Maybe Buffalo loses. Like you said, Indianapolis hasn't been playing great. It's really a crapshoot basically with all this. But I'm not going to count Mahomes out. I don't. But I do think that if they do lose, if they go 3-2, I don't think it's going to be enough for them to make the playoffs. I think they need to go 4-1 or maybe sweep, like you said, and go 5-0.
They go 4-1. It's more realistic for sure. They got to go 4-1. I think 4-1. If they do go, if they win the 5 games straight out and they lock in, they win, they'll be in the playoffs.
Yeah, because 4-1 puts them at 10-7, and I think that's enough to sneak in as a wild card.
Like I said, and Denver, New England, whoever gets that second seed and doesn't get that bye, they better hope. They better hope they don't face Kansas
Well,
City.
everybody in this wild card, these three teams, Buffalo, Indy, and the Chargers, they just have to worry about winning games.
Yep.
If they win games, it doesn't matter what KC does; they'll keep them out. Because right now, if the playoffs started tomorrow, KC doesn't make it. So these
Here's the
three
thing.
teams they have to just keep winning. If you keep winning, you'll keep Kansas City out. So they control their own destiny at this point.
Here's the thing about Buffalo. They have New England, they have Cincinnati next week, and they have some games coming up where I could see Buffalo taking a few L's. They got to be careful, obviously.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, if Buffalo in the next coming weeks is looking up and they're 8-6 now, it's going to be doomsday for them as well, because that only leaves the door open for Kansas City to may have won a game or two in a row. Who knows what happens with the Chargers and the Colts? I don't trust the Colts, like you said. The Chargers have let us down many times, and so have the Bills. So this may be totally different come Week 16. So,
yeah,
we'll see what happens. But like I said, I'm a little nervous for Kansas City. I do see them not making it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they ran the table and went 4-1 and snuck in.
I still think they make it. I feel like it's going to be one of those things. Maybe the NFL will, I wouldn't say slight them a few calls, but like they know what it would mean if like the Chiefs do make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but I don't really want to think that way. But you're unfortunately you're 100% right. But
It would make
listen,
look, and
they control their own destiny too. They got to win games too.
They have the tiebreaker over the Colts too. So if the Colts and them finish with the same record, they would actually get in over the Colts. So that sucks for the Colts. The Chargers do have the tiebreaker at the moment over them, but they still have one more game to face, so that could change. The Bills do have the tiebreaker over them 100% because the Bills beat them. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. I'll tell you that. If we go back and look at the NFC real quick, if we look at any teams falling out from here, it really could be, I would have to say Tampa if I had to say maybe one, because I looked at the 49ers. They absolutely could fall out as well. But I think Tampa I haven't really been that impressed. I mean, they nail biter against the Cardinals today, 17-20, I believe it was the score of that one.
Yes, yeah, 2017, and Seattle just mollywopped Minnesota. I mean,
yeah, they're making it. The Seahawks are for sure making it. I don't see a way.
They're a really good team. They're a sleeper team to me in the NFC. They could really be a dangerous team in that NFC West and the entire NFC as a whole. I think they cannot be slept on.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you on that. I think for the Seahawks, they're very slept on beast mode team, and I could totally see that as well, them being a danger in the playoffs. I mean, Sam Darnold is the quarterback, so it just takes one bad performance so it could just like that. But
that's true, but he's been super consistent, which is half the reason why they've been that successful.
You know what? And you're 100% right. He was super consistent when they were 14-3 with the Vikings last year, and then he got in the playoffs one game.
And then, yeah, exactly. And that's all it takes is that one game here. It's over. Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? But Tampa, I feel like Carolina's right on their tail. And I could see a way that Carolina comes out with that division, to be honest, because I feel like Carolina's been a little bit more, their wide receiver room has been more impressive at the moment, I'll be honest. Coker, Ted McMillan, Leggett. I've been more impressed with Bryce Young's development this year. It looks like they finally are getting things on the right track, which is phenomenal to see. And I know they're in the hunt. I know Dallas is in the hunt as well. Like you said, could Dallas somehow, some way run the table and they take over Philly's spot? Potentially speaking, but I think it'll be kind of hard because at the end of the day, Philly, I don't see them losing 5. I mean, out of 5 games, maybe they lose.
No, yeah, it's tough. That's tough. But if Dallas keeps winning and puts the pressure on them, it's they have a chance to run the table at least and make it somewhat interesting. But to go off what you were saying earlier, about Bryce Young and how he's developed. Also, Caleb Williams. I was. I'm not gonna lie. I was very critical of Caleb Williams. I still think he's got a lot of work to do. When it comes to being a total package in the NFL and a top tier quarterback. But Ben Johnson has really gotten a lot out of him, and I think it's definitely Ben Johnson to credit. He's been really good. He's not turned the ball over in big spots. Like I said, their run game has been really good, which is why they've been really good, and their defense has been really good as well. So he's in a good situation right now, but he's definitely improved. So to see those two quarterbacks in the NFC really emerge as finally something, because we've been waiting kind of a few years, not so much for Caleb Williams, but obviously for Bryce to to overcome some of the adversity that he's had to go through. It's good to see for the league that they're finally they're making their mark a little bit.
Yeah, and just to wrap it up, I guess more so, last conversation we'll have is the NFL MVP. Obviously, it's kind of up for grab this year. I mean, Matthew Stafford's still the favorite on FanDuel at plus 110, followed by Drake May at plus 130, and then the next closest is my guy Jordan Love at plus 1,000. So I don't know. It's these top three right now, and then we have afterwards. You have the likes of Caleb Williams. Mahomes is still there. I mean, who right now? I don't see a clear cut favorite at the moment, to be honest. And I think we probably won't know till like the last 2 weeks.
I totally agree with you. I don't see how we could make that call as of now. If just to obviously just to keep it interesting, I'm going to go Stafford due to the fact that he's got the weapons offensively to obviously help him out, and he could have the next 4 games he could have 4 monster games and solidify his MVP type season. But Drake May has also been phenomenal with what he has there. He doesn't have nearly as many as weapons as Matthew Stafford has, and he is literally looking like he's been in the league for 6 or 7 years the way he's been playing. And it's been really nice to see. And even as a Jet fan, it's the Patriots still know how to draft quarterbacks and develop them. So that sucks if you're a New York Jet fan. But yeah, if I had to go, yeah, it was actually yes for the Jets. Yeah, it was a very interesting win. I called it. I said for some reason I feel like Atlanta's going to choke this game, and that's exactly what they did. But and shout out to Nick Folk. He's their best offensive player. Anyway, yeah, just to I personally think it's going to be Stafford just because like I said, he's got the offensive weapons there. Kyron Williams, obviously Puka Nacua, and Devontae Adams, who just can't seem to stay out of the end zone. I think it's 6 games in a row now that he scored a touchdown. So I think with that help, it's going to be able to push him over the top, and he'll win MVP. But don't count out Drake May. Drake May is right there. He's on his neck, but I do see Stafford taking it.
Yeah, if the Patriots finish off with the 1 seed and Drake May continues playing the way he is, I think he's going to get it, and I would feel pretty confident just because of he doesn't have the big name weapons. He has Demario Douglas, Stephon Diggs, Kayshawn Butte, I think is his name, Hunter Henry. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't really have the big name weapons, but he's still doing what you got to do. Obviously, I will love my guy Jordan. If the Packers could somehow take the number 1 seed, I could see a way Jordan Love could win the MVP as well. With the way that if he plays efficient and from here on out, and we go on a run, finish off with the number 1 seed, I could see a way Jordan Love wins the MVP as well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Jonathan Taylor was there in the conversation, but he's had back-to-back weeks that
these last 2 weeks, I agree with you. These last 2 weeks have not been impressive, and I think it dropped him out of it. I think he was up there. I would say by like week 11, he was like maybe the top candidate at that point. And now that we are finishing week 13, he's dropped out of the top 3. So
yeah, he dropped out for sure. He for sure did,
so bro. That's a good point. His last 2 games have not been good.
And Mahomes has dropped out as well. I see in the odds because obviously not because him playing horrible, but the Chiefs have just not been getting the results, and I think that's going to play into a factor. So, the stats might be there, but the wins aren't, and that's kind of the way it's gone. But let us know what you guys think in the comment section about, how your team is doing. Obviously, I would love to know what team you guys root for and obviously how they're doing. Hopefully nobody in the comment section is a Titans fan. That would suck because they only got 1 win and looking like they're going to get the number 1 pick again. Even though, there's a lot of football left. Well, not really a lot. How many weeks is it? 4 or 5?
Yeah, this was week 13. There's 4 weeks left.
Dang,
4 or 5 weeks left. Yeah, so we have a month of football left before the playoffs start. So
yeah, it's gonna heat up right now.
It's actually pretty crazy. Yeah,
it's gonna heat up, and obviously, we would love to know your guys' thoughts on the NFL MVP race. Like I said, this is really one that it's too close to call right now. And by all means, Stafford, Drake May, Jordan Love, see a way. Maybe even Caleb Williams steal some votes because you know how it's a quarterback favorite award. I see he's 6 in the odds right now. So that's that. And I think it's going to be really fun to end off the year. Are you looking at anything in particular, JB? Looking at any specific team to end off the year? Like a lot of pressure?
Yeah, I want to see how Philly ends up. Just the way they've been playing. I think they were such a very talked about team and very rightfully so. And I want to see what Nick Sirianni has dialed up in the final 4 to 5 weeks to solidify their spot in the NFC and the division. See how the East kind of pans out. I'm also interested to see what the Cowboys do. So and in the AFC, the Colts and the Chargers and the Bills. I think those are the top three teams. I kind of want to see make some strides. And if they're really serious, that's how they'll keep Kansas City out, is by winning games.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see how that all pans out the next coming weeks.
Absolutely. I think that's very important. Guys, as always, we appreciate the countless amount of support that you guys show these YouTube videos. Obviously, we keep doing this because we see how much the community here has grown. And as long as that keeps happening here, we won't stop by any means necessary. Appreciate the love for JBM Sports Media. If there's anything you want to wrap up with, JB, before I wrap the video up.
Just we always, appreciate the support. We try to get these videos out as much as possible. And we see, the views and the comments that you guys are sharing and liking, and we really do appreciate it. And make sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram as well, JBM Sports Media, on both platforms. We put out content there as well. And like I said, thank you for the love and the continued support.
As always, guys, we'll see you in the next one.